So, um, I'm just sharing my screen right now. Let me know if you guys can't see, but we have a presentation up, top 10 tips for club leaders. As you can see, um, I always love that quote. I'm going to preview the tips right now. If you could hold off on the questions, we're going to go through each of these individually. But just if you want a quick preview, these are what they are. Many of you already do some of these, but maybe there's one or two you don't, and maybe there's another way of doing it that you don't do at present. But we're just going to jump through them, and feel free to stop me after each tip and ask any questions you might have. My first tip, as you can see, it's visit the volunteer portal. This is my briefest slide, and the easiest way to remember it is just g.town/club volunteers. We have an entire website dedicated to engaging you guys. As you can see here, and somebody's typing a question. I see Patty. We have a site that talks about what kind of programming should you do, what are the guidelines and resources for you. So this is a kind of meta slide here because everything I'm about to talk about in the rest of the presentation is probably contained in some meaningful way on this site. I would encourage all of you to visit it. If there's something you think we should add, we're happy to add it. Jessica, who's on the call, actually manages the content for this site. Jessica Finka on my team. So if you have any questions or anything about that, we're happy to share. But I want everybody here to visit this site. There's a lot of good content in it, and I suspect that many questions can be answered easily here. So, and if you have any questions about the volunteer portal in general? It's one of those things you can look at later. I just want to publicize it and get as much of a shout out as we can. Now, this is something that I think people might not know is besides the lovely staff people who are on this call and not on this call, we actually have members of the Board of Governors who are available for you to talk to as well. They should have called you at some point this year. We have vice chairs who are dedicated by region, who are former club leaders and have been through all this at a better level even than I or Nick or Jessica probably have. Just to outline them for you, as you see here are the various leaders. Don't feel a need to write them down. I'm going to share the slides later, and they're also on the volunteer portal, as I mentioned. But I just want to talk through their duties quickly. Paul Liebskin, he used to be on both the Philadelphia and DC boards. He now is our Board of Governor contact for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Jacqueline Keneally. She works with the Houston Club, and she's our contact for the West and the Southwest. Rosie Levy, she works with our Miami Club, but she's our contact for the Southeast and Latin American clubs. Audrey, as I call her because I always misspell that, unfortunately. I hope she's not on the call. She used to work with our club in Hong Kong, but she's also worked with our DC club. She's worked with our New York club. She's moving to Seattle, so she'll be working with our Seattle club soon. And so she will be our liaison for Asia. And Matt Moore, although he works with our Europe club, our European clubs now, he had worked with our New York club before. So I'm just seeing a question here. Is Rosie? Okay. Yeah, so Patty has a question here, and I think you guys can see it. Is Rosie actively working for the Latin American board? Since Emily introduced us, you haven't heard a call from her. I'll follow up with Rosie. She is. I know that's one of those things. She's trying to get around to it this year. I don't know. The thing about our regional vice chairs is each of them has their own communication style. I know Paul made individual calls to each of the club leaders, but I know others may have done emails, or I don't know, but I'm happy to follow up with her. If you don't hear from her, Patty, feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to connect you guys again. Do you have any other questions here? I'll get out quickly so we can take a look. Yeah, but these are our regional vice chairs. The idea here is that you guys hear from us staff all the time. But sometimes, besides other club leaders, you want to hear from other club leaders who've done it in either markets like yours or markets unlike yours. They might have some suggestions, and they really understand from an empathetic viewpoint what you guys have been through. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about. A lot of people know that there are club awards, but many more people do not apply for club awards ever. So this is my pitch here that anybody here on this call, no matter the size or scope of your club, should apply for a club award for a few reasons, which I'll talk about. One is it's a great way to let other people know what you're doing. Because although you may tell staff or other clubs nearby, you get a lot of notoriety both within the Alumni Association and outside the Alumni Association. And more than that, you actually get a monetary gift for your club. So if you do a great job on something, let us know. We want to honor you with both an award and a check. So more to that point, how do you do it? Now, nominations always open in June. I say always since we've revised that process about a year ago. But they will be open in June of this year. And then we'll select the winners in July. So basically how it works is you'll get an email from Nick, who's on the call, about when nominations are open. Once you fill out a very quick form, moderately quick, I'll say, then in July, the awards are voted on by the Alumni Clubs Committee. For those of you who don't know, the Alumni Clubs Committee is what charters all the clubs. It's part of the Board of Governors. For those of you who don't know, the Board of Governors is the governing body of the Alumni Association. And then we give out your awards in September. I saw a lot of you at the award ceremony during Fall Leadership Weekend last year. We will be doing the same thing this year. It's a great ceremony. You get the great bulldog as shown here. Everybody's very proud of their bulldog. I'm not sure who's with you out there. It might be Kevin. I don't think it's Kevin, but
yeah, that's Kevin.
That's Kevin. Thank you. I don't want to miscall things here. Thanks, Nick.
No worries.
So yes. So okay, how do you apply for an award? I hear a lot about who wins these awards year to year. The most award-worthy thing you can do is apply, because the number one thing we've seen in the past is that we're not teaming with submissions. So if you're at all in doubt about you think you did a great event, I encourage you to apply, because odds will be ever in your favor. I mentioned the uniqueness of the submission here. We love to hear about new things. You know, if you're doing something that's unique to your region, or you think it's something people might be surprised by, or is not something that's been done before, people always love to hear that story. I wrote well-supported application. What I meant by that is you can attach pictures, you can attach an explanation, you can give a brochure if you had an event, or an email if it's communications. The more you can tell your story about what you did, the more people will understand and want to give you an award. And the other thing is, how do you think it resonates with other clubs and volunteers? Remember, this is being reviewed by current and former club leaders. What do you think they're looking for? So first, apply, and second, give us a lot of support for applying. But does anybody have questions about club awards? Those that do it like it, I think. And getting an award is a big deal.
Are there different categories for the awards?
There certainly are, and I'm glad that you asked that. We give out awards in various different categories. We give 2 for volunteers of the year in small and large clubs. We give an award for club of the year for a small and a large club, but we also give awards for individual programming, such as for educational programming, social programming, community service programming. We try to have a variety of award categories. It's also listed, as I go back, on our on our volunteer portal. So I can just show you here, Alumni Club Awards. You can see all the winners of the awards from last year. The one I missed was Communication Strategy and International Club of the Year. So these are all the different categories of awards. You never know what's going to win. So I encourage you all to submit. And we always want to have a diversity of award winners.
Sam?
Yeah.
Just from experience, Glove Crew has applied like, I don't know, 4 times. We won, I think, back in 2011. Yeah, International Club, and that was basically, I think, because we did the first Latin American Summit here, the Georgetown Latin American Summit here, and we were actually just starting up as a club, and then we submitted 2 or 3 more applications, and the thing that really kind of made it a bit more, we were a bit reluctant to continue talking with my board, was that we put a lot of effort in the application. The application was it demanded a lot of time and a lot of, you know, I didn't do it all by myself, and they were kind of disappointed that there were only categories for international clubs, or some that there were some international clubs that couldn't participate in other awards because they really, the kind of activities that we do and the kind of resources that we have really cannot really match and compete with other bigger, like, domestic clubs or even international clubs. So I would just ask, you say that you encourage us to continue applying, but I would just say 2 things. One is maybe the time frame for applying, you know, you apply in June, and maybe we need more time because people work and you really have to get, you know, time to put everything together and to, you know, the pictures and everything, and how to because it's basically an application. It's not a lot of work. I don't want to scare everybody, but I remember doing it, and by myself, and then with my vice president, and it was a lot of work. And
I would love to.
The second thing is that maybe, you know, maybe encourage some, I mean, international clubs to be able to participate in the other categories, because we don't always have, like, you know, the major or, you know, unusual event, but there are many other things that we do that maybe we can, you know, I mean, maybe we feel able to share with other club leaders, even if we don't win. I don't know if it makes sense.
So I just want to jump in quickly. This is Nick, and I work with Keepney, who's our vice chair for awards. The application, I believe, probably has changed since last, because it is only 4 questions. And it's basically like, why do you think your club should win the award? What metrics should they be evaluated off of? What is the creativity, and how does it relate to the Georgetown motto? So we really have simplified it into 4 simple questions where we have a maximum amount of words you can do. And something that we really encourage clubs to do, if you're worried about tracking down the person who was in charge of an event from November for a submissions you're writing in June, if you guys, and Sam's going to talk about this in a little bit, are tracking what you're doing on social media, and you have a Facebook page and you have a Facebook following, then those pictures should be posted as you're going out through the year, and you can just easily drop them off from your Facebook page and drop them into your application. So those are just some helpful hints too.
Okay, thanks, Nick. It's great that they changed the application, actually, because it wasn't as some. I mean, it was longer. So.
Yeah, we heard,
and because we heard your feedback, Patty. So we changed that around.
Yeah, I do also want to say that it's not just international clubs winning International Club of the Year. In terms of, you know, we had a lot of applications last year. Our club of the UK won the Educational Award, for instance. And I think a few years ago, our club in Hong Kong won our Community Service Award. So, for instance, it's no longer the case that we used to really feel like it was tough for international clubs to win anything but the International Club of the Year category, Patty. But I think in the last few years, we've actually seen an uptick in international clubs awards and other categories as well.
Well, that's great. That's great. I really didn't know that, because we hadn't applied in the last 2 years. So I'm sorry that I wasn't aware of that. But
no apologies at all.
Great. Any other questions about awards? Okay. This is more, I like how this is just a general comment. Did you know that Georgetown Alumni Clubs have an official calendar? The reason I bring this up is I hear from clubs all the time about how can I get something where other alums can see it, where everybody can see it. Our calendar tool is really simple to use and is actually an easy way to get your club events on both the Office of Advancement's calendar and in general on the calendar. So you can see here on the screen that, you know, this part here is just what it looks like on the back end. And it shows up on our website. I actually want to show you guys here, and hopefully this works here. On the general alumni.georgetown website, if you use this calendar, regional events get put in here. Like I could see the LA event and the Philadelphia event, and I could see another Philadelphia event. I could see that New York is doing some kind of cornhole league for some reason. And I could see a lot of different things. So if you want your club events to be seen by the general Georgetown community, using this tool we call it Live Whale, it's our calendar tool. I would recommend that you guys all use that. In terms of, I feel like there's a lot of different technology tools you guys can use as club leaders. This one is the simplest of them to use. I'm very confident in saying that. And it looks just like I can actually bring this up right now, actually. Let me see if I can do this. I always love live demonstrations, so let me see if I can get this to work. So you just sign into Live Whale, which is our tool here. If I wanted to create a new event, let's pretend this were happening tomorrow and we were doing a webinar for club leaders, top 10, let's say.
You could add the Wisconsin Game Watch on there, which is not currently on there.
I'd be happy to. I don't know who was that you, Alex?
That's it, yeah, Alex.
Alex, do you want to give me the details?
Sure, it's Saturday, February 3rd at 5 p.m.
So I just go to Saturday, February 3rd on this calendar, and I change it to 5 p.m.
Central Time.
Central Time. Yeah, see here it says this. I'll change that in a second. To Central Time. So what is Club of Wisconsin Game Watch for what game is it? I forget. I'm sorry.
Xavier. Let's do that. Then it's just important to tag it with Wisconsin here. So hit that, and then regional events. Once you do that, it will automatically populate in your website, which is cool. Do you know where the event's going to be?
Bar Louie.
And that's in Milwaukee?
Yes.
So you just, let me hope that this works here. Is that the right address? 1114 North Water Street?
Yep.
So then it adds a nice little location here. I'm going to put one of you as the contact.
That's fine.
I think it's, what's the email for you?
ARmodal.
ARmodal.
At Gmail.
At Gmail. No cost, right?
Nope.
And it's just a game watch for Xavier versus Georgetown versus Xavier, right?
Yes.
You can add more information later. I'm just trying to show this for now, but that's really all it takes. So then you click save and go to event.
You can RSVP, right?
The thing about that is, this is actually, it's funny, that's my next slide here. So now this event is up here. I'll show you in 1 second. The short answer is, don't use it for RSVPs unless it's, there's a lot of reasons behind this. I'd encourage you to not use it for RSVPs. It's just a good calendar tool that takes a couple seconds. And if I did this right, and man, I hope I did this right, then it should be on the Club of Wisconsin website. So let me just check that quickly. Apologies if it doesn't work because, when you try things live, something might not go completely as planned. But so here are the club websites. Go to Wisconsin. It's not added yet. So I'll make sure it gets added here, but that's generally what you have to do to make sure it gets added. So I knew it would go too smoothly if it all just worked right there. But this is the general point of the calendar tool because it automatically populates in your website system. So please include a few tips. Please include the region for your club in both the title and the tag. Let me explain that. So if you don't put the name of your club in the title, people who are just hovering over it might not know where it is because, you know, people might go to just the general calendar site and see Game Watch and not know where it is. Using the tag, like I put in Wisconsin, is what is supposed to get it populated in your club page. It occurs to me that your tag might be Milwaukee, actually, which is why I probably messed that up, and I'll correct that later. Not for registration. Don't use it for RSVPs. We have a totally separate system for RSVPs, iModules. There's a couple reasons why. One, we cannot collect payments through Live Whale. It would be so easy, right, if we could, but we can't. The best system for processing credit payments is through Live Whale. So just use this as a quick way to get things on the calendar. As you can tell, it just took 2 minutes to get it up there. As I mentioned, and when I fix it, it will, it automatically feeds into your events section of your website. And don't forget to add the map location. I think those are all helpful tools. I think the calendar tool is something that is very useful. And I hope a lot more clubs use it. I know a variety of clubs use it already. Like you saw Philly, New York, even Switzerland, I know uses it. But yeah, it's a valuable tool for clubs. Do you guys have any questions about our calendar? Cool. So let's go forward. Getting a professor. This is easily like one of the top 5 questions I get asked. How can I get a professor to come to my region? By the way, did you guys know if you Google Professor Georgetown University, this picture of Angelina Jolie is what shows up? True fact, never an actual professor at Georgetown. Anyhow, so there's 3 primary ways we can get a professor to your region. One is through the Faculty Engagement Initiative, which I'll talk a little more about in a second. One is through working with specific schools and units. Basically, that means like the SFS, MSB. Various schools tend to send professors places more often than, say, my office. And last, but certainly not leastly, we do send professors fairly often through my team specifically. And I'll talk about how to do each of these in just a second. Faculty Engagement Initiative. Nick is actually in charge of this, so thank you, Nick. So our office offers professors $500 as a stipend if they're traveling and they are willing to do an event with a local club. Last year was the first time we did this. We actually had 16 events with over 320 registrants around the world. So we aim to improve upon that for this year. So we encourage professors, the easiest way is to just have them email that address here, facultytravel@georgetown.edu. And then we give them the whole spiel about what they have to do, how to get their money, et cetera. The deal is this: professors travel all the time for conferences or for vacation. And what we find is that there's a ton of overlap with our local clubs, especially either internationally or the places that we don't cover generally with Georgetown's general travel budget. I feel like Georgetown sends professors to the East and West Coast all the time, but you know, we don't necessarily send them to every place in between. What we found over the past year is professors may go on their own to those places. And so this is a great way to capture that. A couple tips around that. Just around the timing. Remember, if they're traveling there on their own dime or for a conference or something like that, they might be happening during the breaks of the semester. So it might be during spring break, winter break, or during the summer. Obviously, the summer is less than ideal for most clubs, but you know, we're working around what people's timings generally are. We don't give this as an additional stipend if Georgetown's already paying for them to go there. It's just the thing, like if we're already paying for a professor to go to a region, then that is their payment. We're already covering their expenses. The other thing, this is my nice way of saying it. You never know who's going to be going to your region through this program. So I think about the topics that came up through this last year, and they were some of the more unusual topics. We had a professor do STEM, you know, science and technology and mathematics in Chicago. We had somebody do African American history in Wisconsin. We had, sorry, not Wisconsin, in Minnesota, sorry there. We had somebody do, Nick could roll off a ream of these. We had Professor Aaron do an event in Omaha. Basically, you'll never know what you'll find, but the Faculty Engagement Initiative, especially if you know a professor individually, you're like, oh, I kind of remember this person from my days. Please encourage them to submit through facultytravel@georgetown.edu, and we'd be happy to try and align and get them a stipend for their travel. Okay.
Sam, quick question. You say they don't receive the stipend if the Georgetown is paying for their travel. I'm just wondering, what about the MAGIS participants? I know they're partly funded by Georgetown, but so would they qualify?
Yeah, it's a very specific question. Let me think about that. So you mean like the MAGIS, it's a program where they come to Peru, where they came to Peru. MAGIS is a special program within Georgetown. I think it's about the purpose of the trip, right? So if the purpose of faculty engagement is to, when professors are not going for an academic purpose, to do academic things. So I would have to give that a little more thought, just because I'm not as familiar with the intricacies of the program. It's not a no, it's a maybe. I would have to take a look at it. But for instance, if they were coming, okay.
We have a lot of professors from McDonough that come.
Yeah.
But the great thing about MAGIS is that they come from every faculty. We have like law professors, I mean, from every, like nursing school, so medical school and everything. So we really have a wide range, and we have many years of them coming next. So maybe if it's a possibility, and if of course it doesn't really, gets in the way of their mission, which is to come here to learn about the Jesuit experience. So
yeah, and I'm happy to speak to this really quickly, because I know this is something we dealt with last year. And I think how we handled it almost was, because it's kind of a university sponsored event, we didn't support them for going and having like a lunch with you while they happened to be there. But if they were on like a break and just took you out. But if they did an event separate, or they're staying in Central America or South America longer and decided to do a club event after the fact, or in the evening that they had off, we did give stipends for that.
No, we have a club event with them. I mean, we as a club, we throw them a welcome party or cocktail.
Yep, and they were reimbursed for that.
What I'm saying is specific professors, for like another event. I do know they come for a few days, but some of them do stay for over a week. So just, food for thought, because it's a great opportunity,
Yeah, absolutely. So units. So Patty just talked about the MSB and how they do a trip down. I know a lot of you have probably interacted with these various units and other units. One of the things we found over the past couple of years is they're trying to roll out from these various schools, various deans, various professors, and they will frequently ask us, like Sam or Nick or Jessica, where would you like to send somebody? And we don't always have full say in who. Like, I know if you had to ask me most times and say, Sam, we want Professor Aaron from the law school, or we want, Dean Almeida from the School of Business. There's like a lot of best hits professors, but this is an easy way. Like if you have a passion for your particular school, they're frequently willing to send somebody to various regions. So just let us know, and we work with them. We talk with them at least once a quarter about their deployment plans. So if there's a particular school that you're passionate about, that's something that we can help facilitate.
And also, even within the greater school, if there's a topic that is really interesting that you guys are thinking of, and I know this was done through FEI, not necessarily through regional engagement through us, but after their special election in Atlanta, we had a professor come down from African American Studies to talk about the influence of African American vote in the Reconstructed South, and how that reflected upon the special election, and so on and so forth. So if there's something very topical to your region or your market as well, you might not even want like a Tony Aaron. You might want someone specifically knowledgeable in that area that's really more connected to what you're working with.
That's right. And toward that end, like we have a limited budget to try and help any club get a professor of their choice. I know, like this is the kind. It doesn't matter what size or scope your club is. We will try and get you a professor, preferably of your choice. But we will always try and get somebody down to go to your region and talk. Usually, it's like last year we were able to. A good example was last year we sent somebody we sent Professor Aaron to Omaha, just because even though they're not even an official club anymore, we were able to work with both our contact there and with SFS to make that happen and give a small amount of money to make that happen. So we're always trying to. So always ask your staff liaison if there's something you're really burning about in terms of a lecture. We're always trying to help. Any other questions about professors? I'm just trying to pull up to see if there's anything in chat here. Okay. Well, this is, I love how I alternate my lengthy ones, my lengthy updates with quick updates here. So the easiest thing I can tell you, and I hear this all the time, is somebody's not getting our emails, or somebody just moved here. So-and-so just got married and changed their name, or moved and got a new address or email. The easiest thing for you guys to share with your alumni population is alumni records at georgetown.edu. I know when you guys send those updates to us, and by us I mean Nick, Jessica, Emily, and myself, we just forward them to alumni records at georgetown.edu ourselves and just do it. So we're happy to do that, but if you want to cut out the middleman, I recommend this. They update it within 2 days. This is something we need to make even more public, and I really want clubs to be one of our communicating methods for publicizing this. It's an easy way to get better penetration for your emails, to make people feel more involved in the community. So this is just a quick tip, alumni records at georgetown.edu. I think I said it 3 times, which is what it takes for it to be remembered. So any questions?
I'm gonna hop in quickly here and just show people that it's also on most of your club websites. So it's under the Stay Current section on how to update your contact information. But obviously, I wouldn't necessarily suggest posting this in your newsletter, because those are the same people who aren't able to actually receive them since they haven't updated. But a lot of people who are new to your region might follow you on Facebook. And so maybe periodically posting something like, hey, new to Philly, haven't received our emails. Be sure to update your information here. Just as other ways to kind of reach out to your broader constituents.
Yeah, what Nick was talking about here, I think, is when you click on, you can update your information manually here or go to alumni records at georgetown.edu. Cool. All right. Any questions about that particular email address? That was a rather brief tip, but I think an important one.
Just a quick question. If I post it on Facebook, should I ask them to just update their email addresses? Do you need anything else? Like,
let me say this. This is the most important part. You need both their email and their physical address, because the way our email system works is it checks to see what your physical address is before emailing to you. So if we don't have a new physical address for you, like let's say Patty, somebody in Peru recently moved from DC. If they have a DC physical address, but you give a new email, they will get DC club emails rather than Peru. So it's important that they give an accurate physical address for their region. That's another quick update. I'm glad to give this one is if somebody does not have a physical address within your club's region, they will not receive your club's emails unless they reach out to us individually. So this is a good solution for that. We can have, like, if you wanted to do, I don't want to go into this in depth, but if you wanted to receive club emails from multiple clubs, we can definitely do that. But most of the time, what we hear is, I'm not getting my club emails. I live in this place, and this is the way to fix that.
Hey, Sam.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Rachel. We were told that the person themselves had to update their information, but you're telling me that we can just send the email for them?
This is an easier way to do that. You can also do that. I think they think, I know who told you that. I think that's another way to do it. You can log in using your NetID and update your information with Georgetown.
Yeah, but nobody does that.
Nobody knows their NetID. Nobody does it, right? So this is an easier way. All they have to do is send their physical address and their email to Alumni Records at Georgetown.
And we can do that too if we get updated.
You could do it for them, yeah. If you know.
Yeah. Okay.
I would just copy them because sometimes they ask, oh, are they aware? And then they can reply with, yes, I'm aware.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sam, 2 questions. One, the physical address you mean because if we ask you to broadcast an email, like to send a broadcast email, like from the Peru database, your master database, that would mean that those that don't have updated their physical email won't get it. Their physical address won't get it.
Yes. And I'll tell you,
and there are plenty that come, there are a lot of people that come through and then go, they work at the U.S. Department or whatever, and then they. Yeah. So I'm just finding out that they haven't been getting emails like for the Welcome to the Neighborhood or some other events that you help us out too. I mean, thank God we also sent them, but that's something that I don't know. And the second thing is for after the Welcome to the Neighborhood, you asked us to send you the update, like the attendance list and the update info. And I usually I do that, and I only ask for the emails. I never ask for their physical addresses. So I've been updating you. I mean, the Alumni Association, because we have a lot of newcomers, but they're not going to be in sync. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, so a couple, let me answer those 2 points quickly. One is that helps us take attendance. We need the email address to validate just that they were there, because otherwise it's hard to say when you send us a list whether or not that person is that person. For instance, I'm probably one of 10 Sam Sanders at Georgetown, but if you put my email address, I know exactly that person. Now, it doesn't update their physical address with us, that is true, but you can still follow up with those people individually afterward, not individually, but when you email afterwards to say thank you for going to the event, send the emails to those emails and say, if you need to update your address with Georgetown, use this screen here, this address here.
Unfortunately, I think we have to do it because, as she, my colleague said, they don't do it. I mean, they want to, but they just forget. So.
Hey, Sam, it's Rachel. I have another question. Is there any way to actually see the data, the data that you guys have? Because it's hard to know what's real, what's not, who's getting what, without just a check.
Yeah. So you mean like who's getting what emails or who's signing up?
Who's even assigned to Fairfield County? Like when we send out a blast, we have no idea where it's even going.
Yeah, so there's actually, you can check, I'm sorry, this is going to get away from the tips for a second. I'm just trying to be helpful here. So if you log into Exact Target, which is what we use to send emails, you can actually take a look at who gets your email. So let's just take a look here quickly. Let's take a look at this NorCal email, and we'll see who got their email. I'm sorry for those who are on here, dude, but basically, whenever you send an email through our system, you can see, you have access to this dashboard, and you can see the total number sent.
Oh, great. So my gal.
And you see all these emails here.
Okay.
You could just export this list and see who's getting it and who's not.
Okay. Oh, yeah, but we have no names attached to them, just the emails, right?
Yes, that is correct, yeah. But then if you don't see their email on there, what happens most of the time is either 1, the email went to their spam box, or 2, they're getting it at a different email than they presently use. Those are 90% of the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. No
Sam, where did you go to get that list?
Yeah.
So, is that Jeffrey? I
Yeah.
can't hear you. Jeffrey, so we use Exact Target to send emails. Do you use that for your club?
I don't know. I have a guy that does it. I'm not sure. So
Okay, so if he uses it, whoever does your communications, who sends the emails, basically the same thing you log in to send emails, you just go to the tracking part of it, and then you find, you can look by date. He'll know what it is. It's called Marketing Cloud, but you can see, I see all these because I have all the clubs, but you can see all your different emails here. Like I see the Fairfield County Comedy Night, for instance, and you can click on it. And once you just click on the invite, then you can find out more details about the event. Cool?
cool. Thanks.
Sam, I'm sorry. When did you start using that Exact Target for emails? When you changed to iModules and everything, I followed all these, but for some reason the email part of it wasn't running. I don't remember who I spoke to. Maybe someone at the, I don't know if it was Nick, but they said it's not ready yet. And then I just kind of forgot because I didn't receive any kind of, and now I see that it's kind of different. I don't remember Exact Target. I've never used it.
Yeah, so we've had it for a couple of years now. It might not have been when you first came on. So Patty, the first thing, can you shoot me an email after this and I'll connect you to make sure you have access so you can use it. Okay. Because it's a great tool for you. Because the other thing that's a tip is Exact Target is always the most updated database for you guys because it just pulls every day. Basically, the best practice is get your updates, you guys hear about updates more than we do, but if you get these updates to Alumni Records, then it gets updated in Exact Target like within 2 days. So that way you're always using an updated database. Before, like when I first got here, people were just using old lists and people had moved away for like 5 years and they're still emailing them. So this is a better solution for that. So I'm happy to help you with that, Patty.
Thank you.
So this turned out to be not as quick of an address update. So I want to move on because I want to make sure we get through all this. Social media. We have an entire presentation on social media that I will also share with you guys again. I have it at this link here, which I'll share with you guys as well. But just 3 quick tips, and I am far from a social media maven, but 3 quick things. Tag GU alumni. Now that you could tag them in Twitter, you could mention them in Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I say this because you will get retweets, you will get shares. Our colleagues are on that account all the time and they want to share the good work you do. So if you tag them, odds are pretty good that they're going to share your event with a much larger following. As you can see, they have about 11,000 followers. So you can really extend your reach. And if you have a great picture or a great story, they will love that. Boosting your posts. If you have a page, this is like saying spend a little money on boosting something. You can spend like $1 or $10 and expand the reach of people who see posts on your page a lot. If you don't know what that really means, I can follow up on that later, but trust me when I say like, if you spend $10 in social media marketing, it can pay off way more than tenfold. Third thing, keep up regular posts. So these are just 3 quick tips, right? But the most important thing is that you have regular content on social media. So if you post like once a month, people will pay a lot less attention than if you post once a week. I don't want to tell you guys what the right frequency is for your club necessarily. It varies from club to club. But as long as you have a regular feed of posts that are going in, and if you're ever looking for content, you can steal from Georgetown Alumni up here. You can steal from any number of sites like alumni.georgetown.edu, but people just love seeing Georgetown. So the more regularly you post, the better. As I mentioned, we have a whole link on social media tips, so I don't want to go too much into social media here, but these 3 things I thought would be pretty helpful. Any quick questions on social media? Okay. I want to take one element of that and just expand on that a little bit. Sharing your story. The most important thing is for clubs is That's not true. The most important thing is the work you do. But you can, by sharing the work you do, we can amplify and augment and help you get more funds for the future. So, you know, you might do the best book club or the best community service event, but unless we know about it, we can't help publicize it. We can't help get you funds to do it in the future. And other clubs might be interested to see it. So we have a few ways here for that. I hope everybody here is on our Club Leaders Facebook page. If you're not, just shoot me a quick email after, and I'll make sure you get an invite. Let me actually just show you guys that quickly. I want to make sure everybody sees it, but we have a lovely Club Leaders page. As you can see, I invited you guys to our webinar. Pictures, sharing. Thank you, Patty, for your post. Like, we have a lot of different posts here, and we encourage you all to just share and talk to each other, get feedback. That's really, we want you to talk to each other here. Event Spotlight form. This one I think is lesser known. So I want to show you this quickly. It's in our volunteer portal. Basically, you can submit your event to be spotlighted on our alumni website. It's a very quick form, as you can see here. You just put in your information, what it is, what your event is, and basically describing it. We put this on our alumni website. We try to highlight a different event every month. And we'd encourage you guys, if you can take the time. It's not necessary for everything, but if you think you guys really did an outstanding job with something in particular, we'd really love you to submit something here.
And it's also a great way if you're doing events along the way and at the end of the year, you had submitted a couple of those spotlight forms, you already pretty much wrote your awards nomination. So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, thank you, Nick, for outlining the quick shortcuts for them. Yeah, that is true. I would also encourage you guys to email us about your events. I know a lot of you do. I frequently get emails. We had a great event in X country or Y city. Here's some pictures. Pictures are great. So if you can even snap a couple pictures and share them with us, we'll put them on GOA Club Leaders. We'll share them with you alumni. It's our job. Of course, share on your social media pages and our club newsletter. Our club newsletter, it's actually managed by Jessica. She does a great job of picking a couple pictures each month. There's no real rhyme or reason, but we want to highlight as much as we can. So these are all great ways to share your story. Any other questions about sharing your story? All right, we just have a few minutes left and only 2 left to cover, and these 2 are easy, I think. So leadership development. This webinar is part of it. It's kind of a meta slide again, but the point is we want to have 4 webinars throughout the year to engage you guys. Here are the other 3 we're looking at. I'm not going to talk about them. You guys can read it, but we want to give you guys things that are of use to you guys. What we hear a lot is, you know, what does a good board look like? How do we run a good meeting? What are the best programs we can use? How do we communicate better? These are questions we want to answer for you as many times as we can and as different ways as we can. So this year we want to have best practices from those who won awards last year. We actually had a mini version of this at Fall Leadership this weekend this year. I think we had some of our award winners give their feedback about what made them so winning. We want to talk about how to build a good board structure. I know one of the most challenging things is that club leaders move in and out of regions all the time. And so it can be challenging to keep a vibrant and diverse board there. And third, how do you get a diverse board? A lot of time we hear, oh, it's all young people, it's all old people, it's all people from one or this community or the other running this. We want to give you guys a good rubric for how to do that properly. As I mentioned, we also have in-person training. Last year we had social media and best practices. We even got a board management class from a professor from MSB. We encourage you all to come to Fall Leadership Weekend if you can this year. If you can't, it's September 27th to 29th. We will be having these 4 webinars, as I mentioned. So either in person or on the web, we want to have a way for you guys to engage with us. Any questions about leadership development? Cool. This is the last one, and this is probably the most utilized one, which is ask us. here are the 4 people on the team. It's me, Jessica, Nick, and Emily. The markets have shifted a little bit for the over the past few months or so, but in general, you can see all these here, and I'm going to share that. I'm going to share this with you as well, but I'm in charge of the international markets, including International Alumni Weekend. Save the date. It's October 12th in Mexico City. I work with our board of governors. We'll be working on our metrics and measurement and athletics. Jessica here does club communications. That includes our volunteer portal. It also includes our newsletter and some other things. And Hoyas Get Baxa is Baxa this year. Hoyas Get Baxa is our day of service. It's going to be April 28th. So I would encourage everybody here, if you want to put a community service event together then. It'll be a nice uniting community day for us all. And Welcome to the Neighborhood she'll be doing, which is in September. We don't quite have a date for that yet, but we'll share it soon. Nick works with so many different markets now, Northeast, Midwest, and Mid-Atlantic, but he also is in charge of the awards, and as you could hear him talking about earlier. So if you have any questions about the best ways to fill out those awards forms to help win, he's a great guy to talk to. He also works on our faculty engagement initiatives and is involved with volunteer development. Emily, who's not here, compliance is such a term. It encompasses both, your annual reports, but also your tax status, as well as you getting your checks each month. So she really is we really need the services she provides for your clubs. She works with our South and Southeast clubs, and she does summer send-offs. So just to recap, here are the 10 tips. Go to the volunteer portal, talk to your vice chairs, get an award, use the calendar feature, continue to get professors, alumni records at georgetown.edu for quick address updates. Please include physical addresses, social media, sharing your story, these webinars, and other leadership development tools, and please continue to ask us. So we have about, questions. We have about 3 minutes here, but we can stay on as long as you like. Do you guys have any questions for us while we're here?
Just a quick question. Just because I saw the ask the staff, do we still have the same liaisons? I don't know if who's in charge of compliance. Like, she's our liaison, but I don't know if she's still going to be our liaison.
Yeah, so Patty, I'll be working with you soon. Emily's actually going to transition a couple of her clubs over to me soon. So I don't know that she's gotten to Peru yet, but I'll be working with you very soon. But if you have any questions about your annual report or other compliance things, you can feel free to keep talking to Emily.
Okay.
When in doubt, you can include multiple of us. I think it's rare when we mind. Feel free to blast a bunch of us and those who are not involved.
On a daily basis, because they assign but you under your name says international.
Yes, that is a recent change.
Really now it's like South, so I don't know if she's like in South America is in South or I just
let me just clarify here. I'll go back to it for a second. So this is a pretty recent change. It happened in late December, so this is the most up to date. Starting with this year, I will be taking over all international clubs, so that includes you. So up until December, she absolutely was. We're still working on making some of these transitions here, so I totally understand if that's confusing. So going forward, Jessica, Nick, and Emily will be taking all the domestic markets, and I'll have all the international ones.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sam, you mentioned annual reports. I'm new, so this is, our former president is still around. Is this something I get from him, or will you contact us with the information that's needed? Or
we will definitely contact you.
Okay.
So you can talk to him if you have any questions, but you'll get an email in a few months where we'll be saying you guys will have a few weeks to complete your annual report, which has been streamlined, so it's not as bad as it used to be. So it'll take maybe 10 minutes to fill out. It's just a survey. You fill it out and send it in. It's pretty much the one requirement for clubs each year that you fill out your annual report. That you basically do 3 events, have 3 officers, and tell us about it.
Okay.
And it's in July, right? In August?
Yeah.
Or July?
I'm trying to look at the timing. I think that's right. Yeah, July.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Great. Well, I'll be sharing this presentation as well as a couple supporting documents. But like I said, this is the first of a few, so feel free to do more. But if you have any questions, you guys can just ask any one of us, and we're happy to help. Thank you, everybody, for joining the call today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And hi, Nick. Bye, Sam. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi,
Bye.
Patty. Talk to you soon.